Mike Winger, one of my favorite Christian apologists, favorite because he says so many silly things which I can use to endlessly fuel this channel for time and all eternity, as my Foreman Roots would have me say. He has a pretty good standard for judging the stories in the Bible, or any holy book, really. And I want to embrace that standard with him. Mike.
The day of the burial was probably the day of preparation. Okay, so Joseph was able to buy a shroud. They could do that on the day of preparation. They could still buy a shroud. That's Mark 15:46. Multiple sources say that it was the day of preparation, which is the Friday before sundown. And this is Luke 23:54 and John 19:31. So we have different sources incidentally all pointing to the timing being consistent. Like it reads like it's history. Like, yeah, that's how it would be if it was really happening.
This is a standard I really like. This is a standard I can get behind. It's a standard I'm begging Christians and believers of all faiths to embrace with me. If it reads like history, it's probably history. Or at the very least, it's not something someone like me would or could easily or summarily dismiss. Buying a shroud is a pretty mundane claim. So yeah, I'm with you, Mike. It reads like history, which is overwhelmingly mundane and unspectacular. But once we start applying that standard to the rest of these stories about Jesus, we start to hit a wall, don't we? No, actually, we don't. And that's the problem. Of the two of us, Mike, I'm the only one hitting that wall for the rest of the story. You think things are history which clearly don't read like history. Let's go through a few examples. For instance, what we know historically, or what appears to be the case throughout history, is that human procreation occurs when... if you have little ones in the room, you might want to send them elsewhere. I'll wait. Okay, we good? All right. Human procreation occurs when two humans, one male, one female, get together and do the horizontal mambo. The man then plants his seed in the woman deep down inside. That seed fertilizes an egg, and a process begins which leads to the creation of a human being. A ghost showing up at the home of a teenage virgin girl and implanting a god in her womb is not what typically happens. However common such stories might have been 2,000 years ago, nor would such a thing be the polite thing to do. It's just rude and unbecoming a god or gods. Today, we'd call that kind of thing rape. By the way, an angel appearing to you in a dream to tell you that your pregnant fiancé is not a lying, cheating sack of... well, you know what I'm saying, and that you should marry her despite the bun in the oven, that isn't really historical either. It's not how it would be if it really happened, at least not in all of history. Likewise, if we're being historical, people have generally figured out where to go and how to get there using maps. In 2023, most people get around using some kind of GPS, usually on their smartphones. And while people have indeed navigated by the stars, those stars generally stay fixed and give no outward signs of being the star of anyone in particular, like the king of a given people. So when someone claims that they saw a star rise and know whose star that is, we generally don't take that at face value as an historical claim, especially when those same people claim that a particular star went ahead to guide people to a particular place, and then just stopped at that place so as to indicate that the destination had been reached. That just doesn't read like history, Mike, nor is it how it would be if it really happened. We could do this all day, but let me just give this one last example. When you're dead, historically speaking, and especially if you've just suffered a particularly gruesome death where a soldier has made sure that you're dead by stabbing you with his sword, You generally don't just walk away from an injury like that, Mike. At least not without a limp or some other lasting physically debilitating impediment. You're going to have a bruise or some cramping or a bit of swelling, maybe all three at the very least. You're certainly going to walk away with one hell of a headache. And death has certainly never given anyone the power to defy gravity, where a person can just suddenly, after being dead for a couple days, float up into the air so high that eventually no one can see them. Historically speaking, that's just not how it would be if it really happened. It just doesn't read like history, Mike. But I like your standard. I do. I really do. I think you're onto something, and I think it's a great idea. I'm completely on board, so kudos, my friend. Once again, I'm me. Thanks for watching.